Yeah, hello everyone. I am Omega Zero.
I am late night CJ, aka Sweet Daddy, in the streets.
And we're here to talk once again about Invincible, and this time we're going over episode 6, You Look Kinda Dead.
Dead.
And this is the one that's leading up to the more controversial scenes in the series, but this episode starts off, because we're going off the wiki again, because again, it's been a while since we've seen these episodes.
Absolutely.
Humbled by his week-long recovery, Mark reconciles with Amber before both accompany his best friend William on a weekend visit to Upstate University.
I do remember, though, he wanted to go on there because he was on the fence about, because remember, what's her name, Adam Eve had just went off and did her thing, and he was contemplating if he wanted to be a superhero anymore. So he was like, well, let me see if this other, going to college and stuff like that could be a potential. Because remember, he was like, hey, can I go? When dude was talking about going to visit his friend.
Yeah.
And he was like, can I go? Because there was part of him that wanted to see. And he asked Amber if she wanted to go to see if, pardon me if I move away from the microphone a little bit, I'm making macaroni and cheese in the streets.
And yeah, shows that Lena and CJ remember this episode because I blocked most of this one from my memory mainly because of Amber, but
I'm knowing what's up. I remember.
yes, they kind of go off, but like there's a few scenes I believe beforehand where you basically get like the zombie cyborg just kind of going off. I think they it starts off with I believe like a flash, almost like seeing like how they saw for like Law and Order SVU, where they you get the scene of the crime, how it's set up before all like the main cast get there. Like you got these dudes out in the frat party or something, or they might be high schoolers and going out enjoying life. Then you just kind of get this one high schooler out by himself or college boy, I don't know which.
They were out drinking and all that.
Yeah, and he just goes off, and I think he gets attacked by like the cyborg zombie, or some dude comes up like, oh, hey, you want to try something? And then cyborg zombie. Like I said, I remember a few scenes, but
I remember them more because they were towards the end of the series, so they're a little bit more fresher than the
yeah, like
ones.
episode 7 and 8, those are vividly fresh.
Right.
But yeah,
because he was contemplating not going into the super, because he was he was in the hospital for a week.
He got destroyed.
Right.
So
and he was like, do I really want to do this? I could go to college, have my girl, and have a normal life, and just every now and then, kind of like Adam and Eve, if I need to help somebody, I have the ability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, he didn't go that deep, but I'm assuming that was part of the process, the thought process.
Like, make it work.
Right, but still have like a normal life because he is half human.
Or at least somewhat. We'll get into that. Moving on next, we have he was moving upstate. They wanted to go into Upstate University for William to go see his crush, Rick Sheridan, because in the show versus the comics, William is much more closed off about his
sexuality.
Yes, but that was also written at a time where that wasn't. It was okay to be like you could love who you want, but it was still kind of like somewhat frowned upon in some circles.
Yeah.
And it was still like a difficult subject at the time, which is what's praised about the comic is that it tackles difficult subjects.
It does. Remember, I've always said that's been the concept for me, is that this show is extremely layered.
Oh, when we get to one topic, one episode, it depends on how they handle it. But if they handle it as with one series in the comic, it's going to be highly respected among people who know how to write. But people will not like it if they don't know anything about the comic.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward, we have after they kind of go upstate and see the university, all kind of chill out, have their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
They get hacked by I believe in the show later, they're called Reanimated, but they're basically cyborg zombies.
Right.
Who lose their, basically they have no cognitive function.
Right.
Like a zombie.
They're
And
like, they become kind of like dudes' minions.
Oh,
like
they
this little
are.
army.
Yeah, because they have like a scene earlier in like one of like the college like lecture halls, and in the lecture halls they like dude goes on, it's like, oh yes, humans are weak and supportive, like in order for us to reach our potential and all that. And it gives us one of the scenes with Amber, which I think she's coming.
Remember, you said you had a little, not a theory about that, but you was like, how can that be if he's gonna be the one that's controlling?
Yeah, I gave the dude crap. I'm like, oh, you're the only like, oh, humans cannot be their full potential because humans are inherently flawed. I'm like, oh, you lying hypocrite. You just want to say that so you have control. Like, oh, I'm already perfect. So he's doing like the whole villain shtick of.
Yeah.
Well,
at least he didn't do the whole villain laugh, the whole.
Yeah, it's like he's doing like the hypocritical line, like, oh, I will be in control.
Right. You guys aren't. Just me.
Just me.
Yeah, just me.
But yeah, like, this is what I'm saying about, like, I kind of remember it now.
Yeah.
Mainly because, like I said, Amber's the whole reason I kind of, like, blocked off this episode. Basically, but after, like, that whole scene, like, the zombie cyborg men, they come out and you can actively see that's hurting Invincible. So you could probably say he's like, oh crap, I'm already getting hurt again.
Right.
After his week-long beatdown, and he actually goes in to save William because William is about to be killed by one of the cyborg anime, and like he saves him, and William's like, holy, because he figures it out.
Right. He's like, yo, man, you like a super. He's like, chill.
Like, don't tell anyone.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, and he's like, all right.
And didn't William? This is where it gets a little foggy, because William started had a whole bunch of questions at that point, like, you know, can you do this? Can you do that? Why? And like,
he's like, shh, and he's like, and he leaves because he has to like keep up the facade.
Right. And that was what I was talking about last week when we spoke about it, was like how people could try to use him as their personal security guard or the evil genius. Like, this is my meaning. We should rob banks and we should do all these. Like, chill, man. I'm up here because I don't want to do this low key.
Yeah, but he doesn't do that. He's just like, okay, I need to go back. He comes back after saving William. This is the controversial scene where Amber blows up at Mike, we're saying like, oh, what are you doing? Like, oh, I was trying to help, but the authorities weren't there, so I just went looking for more help.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, he's lying because it's a secret identity. So you can't tell him like, oh, I went off like, save the day. All right, let's go.
Yeah, let's go get something to eat.
Like, no, and I'm not gonna say yet because it does reveal it in the next episode. But Amber, at this point, before we know anything, if it was in a vacuum, she justifiably at this time has a reason to be mad. However, because we don't live in a vacuum,
right,
what we know about episodes 7 and 8 and what happens further on, it doesn't work, and she blows up at Mark and dumps him once again. However, this is where it also becomes questionable if she even cared about him. Because, like, basically the same night, she's basically trying to get a rebound dude right away. Or at least just trying to get some casual relations to be happening.
Coitus.
Until she finds out that dude also has a girlfriend. It's like, oh.
See, out here doing too much. That never works.
Yeah, but this is all kind of stuff happening.
Take time to heal.
Yeah, it just shows that she didn't really care in the first place, in my opinion. But we go here further and further, and the dude and Mark sacrifices reconciliation with Amber after the blow up to rescue William and Rick from Sinclair, like the dude who was going on and on about like, oh, humans are imperfect beings, blah blah blah.
The body snatcher.
Yeah, and William ends up seeing his crush, the dude he liked, being converted into a cyborg. And I'm pretty sure that'd be traumatizing no matter who it was. Like, say you're the person you really, really like be harmed or
fragmented, and now the pieces are being attached to a robot.
Yeah, but at least it, like, his conscious is still there, like, how locked into that. It's kind of like...
That's the question I did have. It was like the movie,
It
but
was like Get Out. It was like
right. It was like, did they all still have a certain level of conscious, or was he not further enough in the process?
I think he wasn't super far along in the process. That's why,
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't have like the whole face thing going on for him yet.
Right. But
Maybe
cut the
that
nose
blocks.
off and all of that.
Maybe it just maybe that thing like puts a needle in their head and injects juice in something that like barely keeps the brain alive, so that way like the body can still like quote unquote function. I don't know. Like I'm not a science person. Like
You're not Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill Nye the Science Guy was an actor who did those things.
He didn't do real science.
He didn't. Well, he talked about science, but not like.
He plays a doctor on TV.
Yeah, he's an actor. All right, and in doing basically, he was able to overcome his like programming before it was really set in to basically help Mark get the win and defeat Sinclair. And following his arrest, Cecil shows up and he's like, "Huh, that's some interesting technology you got there."
Yeah.
And he takes it for himself.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, he's like the Nick Fury of the world. He's basically preparing for. He knows Omni-Man's a killer. He's like, well, time to come up with more backup plans, just in case. And because he's impressed because the thing's overwhelmed Mark, but Mark is also really weak at this point in comparison to every other Viltrumite.
Right. Because he's half human.
Well, yeah, half human. We'll get into that. And yeah, and meanwhile, basically while this episode's going on, Debbie, Nolan's wife, Omni-Man's wife, she takes the bloodiest suit to the costume man, Rosenbaum, the guy who Omni-Man took Mark to go get his costume.
Right.
And they want to see, basically they find out that Nolan killed the Guardian, but there's still tiny bit of hope that
some reason.
Yeah. Both agreed to basically out of fear, basically saying, stay quiet. Fuck, will he kill us? He killed his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a possibility. It's like I used to raise pit bulls. I know that there's a possibility that they could turn.
Yeah. But the revelation sends Debbie into a drunk depression. Well, probably it went to depression, then it went to drunkenness, then it became drunken depression, which is the most likely reason. And I think this happens at the beginning of the episode, but for some reason they put it here near the end of the wiki. Having studied her biology beforehand, Robot gathers the magical ingredients, like this really weird plant that the government agency somehow doesn't have access to, even though you would think a government agency has all the healing items on the earth.
Right.
But alright. And it tends to kill Monster Girl, while the Maulers continue to grow a body for Robot. They also exhume the Immortal's corpse in order to resurrect him as their enthralled weapon against Robot. As a backup plan, just in case he tries to turn us in, we're gonna have the Immortal come back, but he is immortal.
He came back rage.
Well, not yet. They plan to revive him again and use him as a backup weapon against Robot.
Right.
And concurrently, I believe this has to happen near the episode, but I really still don't like it. Eva is inspired by Amber to skip college and use her powers in direct humanitarian endeavors. Which is hard, I'll admit this, college isn't for everyone, but here's the thing, Eve has the powers to do basically anything, create anything, so she can actually do that and get away with that. I'm pretty sure she could probably modify her brain at some point to make it to where she's the smartest being alive too if she really wanted to.
Right.
But that could also be dangerous for her.
Right.
Because, she might lobotomize herself or make her the brain of a child, I don't know.
Just put it like that.
But yeah, that's the end of the plot synopsis. And
well, here, let me. I always come back with a little something that is from the dad section of the show, if you will. I kind of see with with Invincible, it's struggling with your purpose. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're good at things and we do things and we struggle if this is our purpose or not. Like how him going to the college to check the campus because he was like, well, I don't know if I want to totally engage in my quote unquote calling as a superhero.
I mean, he did get his butt handed to him.
Right, twice.
Badly.
Right. And it's one of those types of things that we all go through. It's like in those movies, those coming of age movies, where it's like, okay, yes, this is your purpose, but you haven't fully accepted it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have this little window where everything is in limbo. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I stay with Amber? Should I go to college? Should I go to college with Amber? Should I, just stay a superhero and help the world? Should I just be, a closet superhero and just kind of help people when the opportunity presents itself in front of me? And it's like, that's why I said this show is so layered. It has like real life scenarios that we all can go through. But once again, if you pay attention to the fish guy or the twin cloned,
the smaller twin,
things of that nature, then you'll lose the depth of the show in the antics and the animation. So it's definitely way more layered than that.
Yeah.
Way more layered.
It's more
Excuse
like
the noise. I'm making macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. Like for this episode, personally for me, excluding like the whole relationship drama, I find this episode perfectly serviceable.
Yeah.
But because I cannot isolate it in a vacuum, really, like the whole relationship drama between Mark and Amber, since we're basically going for like 3 episodes, almost to half of this series,
Right.
it makes it hard to not notice it because it is a major subplot.
Right.
In addition to pretty much everyone figuring out who killed the Guardians, we know it was Omni-Man, but everyone else doesn't know that.
Right.
And that takes up at least most of the series. And this one, being like a minor, major subplot, it also has to take up time because, well, it's young love. And
Right.
we already have a video done on Amber, but
Right.
I'm not sure if I'll post it before the end of the series or in the middle of it, something like that.
Right.
So,
It does. I'll tell you what, though. I found it serviceable. But then there was a few episodes that it's like looking back at it now, and then we'll talk about it on a different session or episode about how they introduce potential plots later on in the series. It's like the whole Martians.
yeah.
It was like, what was this episode? Yeah, it had a certain section of it where it was like, all right, this keeps the theme going. But it was just like, okay, what is this? And as we go into more episodes, it'll be explained. And I think this one kind of falls into that bag as well.
Yeah. Where it's like, maybe we'll get some... Here's the thing, but it's like directly setting up what's going to happen later with the Reanimen, which is their official name, I guess. And like the whole Market Amber thing is kind of like, we get some definitive proof. Or,
It's an alley-oop.
Yeah. Where Eve is like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to go to college, but she's inspired by Amber because Amber's this perfect little character, except she's not, and I do not like her.
She's like inspired, as you say, is because Amber, they try to play her as like this philanthropist who's this young girl who's free-spirited, who's popular, who's confident on the outside. Wow. If you notice, these teenage superheroes struggle with an identity, their true identity, because they're looked at as superheroes who are serviceable. This is what you do. You're a superhero. You're supposed to protect everybody. But at the same time, they have a human side,
Humanity that makes them...
Right, that makes them struggle. Like
you even see this with the Guardians. Rex Splode, he cheats on his girlfriend. If you pay attention to the comics, he doesn't really get a whole lot of attention. And he's like, all this new attention now makes him feel like he's bigger than he is. He cheats on his girlfriend.
Right.
Duplicate is friends with the dude she cheated with girlfriends on, but in the comics she says she likes two things: relations and fighting
Coitus.
crime. And fighting crime.
Right.
So it makes it look, yeah, they're not, just because superheroes, they're not super good people.
Right.
Adam Eve, respectfully, she should have blown up at her father, because if he's, to be honest, he is kind of an ass.
Yeah, but there's like, it's the teenage factor of it all, about struggling about identity when you go from adolescence into adulthood, and your ethics and morals and the structure of your life start to shift and become more concrete. You have this little, like I said before, this window of almost like indecisive behavior. It's like, do I want to do this or I want to do that? And not layered again.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Another layer. Just it's very, like I said, if you pay attention to the surface, you'll miss the complexity of this show. That's why we're able to have such a different perspective at times on issues, because it's that layered.
Yeah.
That you can see it in so many facets, and that's the beauty of the writing of it for me.
Okay. Yeah. Like I keep saying, personally, I really don't like Amber. I'm gonna keep saying this.
Say it 3 times you want, son.
I say it all the time, because of all the reviews I've seen of this character, I don't know what these people look like, but probably I would say a majority of them probably don't look like me, who happen to look like Amber.
Right.
Like we haven't shared the same skin tone.
Right.
But it's like, I'm just making an assumption. Maybe some of them are, maybe some of them aren't. But a lot of us agree, like, yeah, no, Amber's a terrible person.
Absolutely.
And that's like the whole reason, like this episode, because I can't separate it, because it has that major subplot being part of the focus of the episode. It's one of the bigger ones in that drawer at the top. Since she's like a major focus character in this episode, I don't like her.
And that's fine. You're not gonna like everybody.
Yes.
Nor should you feel like you have to.
Yeah. And because of that, it brings down my enjoyment of the episode, mainly because I did know what was going on beforehand. And like even before going into the episode before, I'm like, why is Amber like this? Now I haven't been in a relationship and all that, but because of the whole thing, it brings my enjoyment down from what was initially like a 7, maybe an 8, to down to like a 5.
For me, hold on, let me get in a better position. For me, because I understand that, not to sound disparaging or nothing, I understand that this was kind of a throwaway episode to lead into other things, like a segue episode. I would definitely give it a lower score than I have in the past. I'll give it a strong 6, because it had a purpose, but it was a lot of parts in there. I was like, okay, where's this going?
Yeah.
All right. Now, if they had to combine the episodes leading into the next one, then it's like, okay, I would have gave it a higher number. But the fact that it was cut and they just gave me this piece, it's just like,
yeah.
Okay, I know this is going somewhere, so let me watch the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
It's
strong 6.
Yeah. Is it super filler in comparison to the other episodes? No. Because it does have some heavy plot points, like I keep saying. It has minor, major subplot of Mark and Amber. It has Cecil basically recovering technology to see,
how can I use this?
How can I use this? Debbie finds out, like, there is still a ton of information and plot dumped in front of us. Like, this is important stuff going on.
Debbie's whole conundrum, the man that she's known as her husband
For 20 years.
for 20 plus years has this potential evil side that she never knew. It was almost her despair. Despair is like a woman who finds out like her significant other is cheating. It was like she finds out this thing about him that just changes her whole view of him. She knew that he was probably a little stern, a little rigid at times, and what have you. He's a superhero. He's not a regular person. But to kill people that they know
Well,
for no real legitimate reason.
people he's worked with for years.
Right. For no legitimate reason
That
so
she
far.
knows of yet.
Yeah. You know, there will be a reason. Now how legit we see it
Yeah.
is up in the air, but it was just like, yo, I mean, anybody, if you found out the person that you, a coworker, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna give you an example really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say what city we live in, but there was a guy on my high school basketball team that came from Mississippi, and later on in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was a serial killer. I kid you not. Come to find out, like, he wasn't killing people when I knew him, but later on in life, yeah, he was going around us, and it wasn't like he was going around stabbing people. So when I saw this news, this report that they did on him, and the name caught my ear really quick. I'm like, wait, who? And then they showed him in the courtroom. I was like, yo, I played ball with him. Who knew?
Yeah.
Did he have these killer thoughts when we was around? I'm glad I never made him mad. And I'm sure she's like, wait, who? Wait, he did what?
Yeah.
Whose blood is this? Nah.
Yeah. And
Then he walks in like, hey. And she's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I
They were
mean?
like, well, obviously, like, not that, but
Well, he already knew that she had
she was having, like, inklings. That's why he was like, I think that's when he also goes to see, I'm not sure if it's this episode or next episode, it's one of the two.
where he makes the suits.
Yeah, the guy who makes the suits, like, he goes on, like, hey, buddy, let's grab a drink.
Kind of like he wanted to get him drunk to see if he'd tell, like, yo, did you tell her anything? See if the guy would offer up
Yeah.
any information.
But
we can talk about that.
next time.
Yeah.
So, like me, I give this episode personally like 5. We kind of go to review.
I give it a strong 6.
It
Not
has-
for the writing,
Yeah.
the layering of it. I really have an appreciation for multi-layer, multifaceted shows because it shows that the writers actually took their time. Because it'd be very easy to draw up a Saved by the Bell type, you know, Zach Morris screech and all of that. Like, oh yeah, just teenagers. Hey, we're having fun. By the way, I can fly. Like that one show Walrus watches. The
Thundermans.
The Thundermans. You know what I mean? Real surfacey. We're a superhero family. That. But it's like, no, they actually deal with true to life, you know, things that people go through, from the parents to the teenagers, to the relationship between the parents and the teenagers, to the relationship between the father and son. All of these layered things, and they're kind of spot on about a lot of it. So I give it a strong 6.
Yeah.
But a 6 compared to what I've been giving them, it's a filler, throwaway, serviceable episode. It didn't totally add anything, but it wasn't a complete pointless episode for me.
My score is based on the fact that I don't like Amber. And the fact that she's more prominent in this episode,
Right.
and she dumps Mark. Basically tries to get rebound dude immediately, shows she didn't really care about him.
A Band-Aid.
A Band-Aid to a giant knife cut.
Yeah.
Or for this case, it's a Band-Aid for her and a giant stab in Mark's heart.
Right.
So, my score's a 5, I see it a 6.
Yeah.
But we got our points applied across. And like I said, I don't know when I'll post like the Amber video or not. It's already recorded, it's already done and all that.
Yeah.
So, I'm Omega Zero.
I'm Late Night CJ, aka Sweet Daddy in the streets.
We will catch you guys later.
Mm-hmm.